healthiest, I think, well, I certainly feel that I've been for a very long time. And that's primarily because I got myself clean and sober. So I'm not, I don't drink any alcohol, I don't take any drugs. And I'm not even on any medication that I've been on for many years for bipolar. At the moment, I may have to go back on that, and I have it with me. But at the moment, I'm balancing myself very nicely, and I'm eating well. And I've just done my 87th day in a row of running. Wow. So it's been it's been a really renewing time in a strange time. So.
Right. So let's dig into that a little bit.
Sure.
Drugs and alcohol and rock and roll.
Rock and roll, or not really. Sad and roll.
Sad and roll.
Sad and roll. Yeah.
So where did this is it something that's always been in the background, or did it develop? Or
I think, coming from England where you can drink at sort of 16 and get away with it. I had a bar in my school, so. In what we called A2, which was A-level year, so, senior high in America.
17, 18,
yeah,
19.
18 years old. We had a bar in our school 4 nights a week. You could go for an hour and drink as many pints as you wanted. It's kind of crazy. At school. I mean, when I told my parents about it, they're like, we're paying how much money? And you what? So, and people got shit-faced. I mean, they did. So I kind of learned to drink from an early age, and I always had quite a good tolerance for it. So booze was around all my life until recently. And I don't know, that wasn't really the thing that was destroying me, although it wasn't good and it was there and I had to cut it out because you've got to cut everything out. If you're going to get sober and if you're going to get clean from drugs, you have to get clean from alcohol. Right. But what really took me down was cocaine. And I was very, until I went to rehab and understood what it's all about, I was surprised at myself that it was cocaine that would be my drug. Because whenever I'd done it earlier in my life, first of all, I'd been frightened by the amount it cost. Secondly, I always had initially found it like fine, but it kind of made you feel a bit edgy. And also, I didn't really like people when they're on cocaine. But then something happened that was very much a game changer. And I'll never forget this, but I went to see my psychiatrist. And he's an amazing man in Sherman Oaks called Dr. Alan Phillips. And he said to me one day, I went to see him because I was depressed. And I thought I probably had to sort of rebalance my medical dose of the antidepressants and mood stabilizers I was on. And he said to me, he was sitting on the seat opposite looking at me and I was kind of crying on his sofa. And he goes, what were your school reports like? I said, what's that got to do with anything? He said, what were they like? Was there any consistency to them? And I said, well, yeah, I guess they all said, James is very talented. Everybody loves James. If only he'd focus more. And I looked at him and he said, I always wondered if you maybe had a little bit of the old ADD. And I said, oh. And then his very next question was, do you like cocaine? And I said, well, yeah, I do actually. I quite like being on it. I wasn't full-blown addict by this stage, but I, had done it enough to know. And by this stage, unlike earlier in my life when I'd done it and feel a bit edgy sometimes, unless I'd had a lot of alcohol, around this time, like 2017, 18, I would feel very calm. And he said, how's it make you feel? I said, well, it kind of makes me feel really calm and kind of focused. He goes, so pretty different to most people on coke, right? I said, yeah, because most of them are like loud and arrogant and blah, blah, and they're annoying, whereas no one could ever tell I was on it. And he said, yeah, I thought so. He said, and at the time I was thinking about going back to school to study clinical psychology, which would require me to do 60 hours a week. And he said, look, you're going to struggle because your ADD is strong enough that your focus will be... And I would recommend that you take this ADD medication. Now, what's in that medication is what would be in pure cocaine. I'm not saying the crap you're taking because I'm sure it's street cocaine, it's cut with everything. But in pure cocaine, it's the same thing. And so people like you, with your brain, it focuses you. Now, of course, being naive and stupid at that moment, I thought, oh, well, it's all right to take cocaine, you know. And that was a very bad decision because in my mind, he never said that to me. He never said, it's okay for you to take coke. I mean, he'd be horrified if I ever thought that he'd ever said that. Mm-hmm. He was just making me understand why and giving me a red flag. Like, you can get addicted because you can function on it and you're not, you know, like an obvious cocaine user.
Yeah.
Because people like you. So, you know, ultimately, that was one of the reasons why the usage went up. But what I learned when I went to this incredible rehab in Scotland called Castle Craig was all the other reasons why you become an addict, and how it's a disease, and how people with bipolar, which I've had for a long time, I wasn't properly diagnosed till 2008, but I think I've had it since I was 16, really. You know, a lot of people like me become addicts. They go hand in hand, you know. So it's it was an amazing journey, that rehab, amazing.